Now, this topic may not interest you at all, but it does interest me, so I try to make videos on things that I'm very interested in, and I'm hoping that because I'm interested in it, it may spark something in you, and you might enjoy the video, or it might stimulate your thinking and your response. Proverbs 22:6, the New International Version says, "Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." Now we'll take it on down to the good old King James Version, which is what everybody is pretty much familiar with in the language of the 1600s. "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." Now, many years, that verse in my mind was used along these lines. Teach the child good things, and the child will always respond in good ways. In other words, parenting is the fact that you're showing them the good ways, and in their goodness, they're going to respond in good ways always, even when they're adults. However, when I went to seminary and had a Hebrew instructor, the Hebrew instructor told us that basically this is a warning against sin. In other words, what is the way a child should go? And the correct answer is in the way of sin. In other words, the child is born with sin, and the child will go in the direction of sin. Now, it's up to you as parent to break that cycle, because in the way he should go, which is the way of sin, if you're not training him or her properly, when he or she is older, he or she will not depart from the ways of sin. Now that's a whole different slant on things, and most people will not go in that direction with this verse as a warning, not as a, tremendous thing for parents that you can just show them the right way and they'll always abide by the right way. No, it's a warning that your child was born in sin, your child will stay in sin unless you as mother or father, and I might add here now grandmother or grandfather, do something about it. Because when they go into adulthood, they'll not depart from their sinful nature. Well, anyhow, you can see the other versions of this. The New American Standard tells us, train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he grows old, he will not abandon it. And the way he should go is the way of sin. In other words, it's what's programmed into him or her at birth. So the danger is, unless parents are parenting properly, the child will just end up falling and staying fallen the rest of his or her life. So my topic today is called Failure to Launch Children. Failure to launch children. Now I got that pretty much out of the world of psychology, and it's a term now that they're using because so many children are not growing up at all. At least not in the manner and the fashion that I understood about growing up and becoming a young adult and then going into adulthood and taking on major responsibilities like marriage, parenting, having a career, providing for family, etc. So it is estimated that in the U.S., as well as I watched something that was in Australia, they pretty much abide by the same statistic that about 1/3 or 33% of youth ages 20 to 30 still reside or live at home with their parents. Now I'd like to extend that beyond 30 because I know in my family of a young man who's aged 39 who still lives with his parents. And as far as I know, doesn't hold regular employment. Now there have been little periods of time that there'd be a slight job and then no job, slight job, no job. At home, the laundry is done for the child who's age 39, etc., etc. Now it's a little bit frightening to me because I was taught that you needed to, quote, grow up. In fact, that was a slogan that was thrown at us when we did something very childlike, and even our own friends would say, grow up. Now, of course, if you look at the pattern of development, the standard pattern was infancy, childhood, teens. By the way, that's a relatively new category. It didn't come into existence until the late 50s, early 60s, talking about teens and teenagers and that whole. Usually the pattern was infancy, childhood, young adult, adult. But now we have in there teens, which is a whole different slant on things, from young adults to adults. But right now, in this year, 2024, we are seeing a lot of children who are really adults still living at home with their parents and not doing anything. And they're anywhere in the ages of, say, 20 up to almost 40. So this interests me not only in this psychosexual development area, but also in the spiritual area. And I'll probably follow up with a video on failure to launch Christians. All right? So they're on the launch pad, and everything's supposed to check out, but the launch goes bad, and the rocket never takes off. The child never becomes an adult. By the way, when I was growing up, we didn't see any of this. I never knew of this, honestly, in my day and age. So maybe you're of the same generation and same situation as me, that you never saw any of this. But it's big time now in our society, whereby the children are remaining children and not growing up at all. So why is this occurring? Now, these are my thoughts, not necessarily substantiated by research and so forth, but I'm just sharing them with you because you might be seeing this too, and you might be wondering, what in the world is going on? How can my neighbor have a 30-year-old son or daughter still living at home, and mother still does the laundry for them, and the child still is on the family auto insurance and all that type of thing? And so we're going to start with the parents. Parents are to blame. Why? Because they desire perpetual childhood for their children. In other words, they don't want them to grow up. And they are afraid to show tough love. There was a time when when a young man reached a certain age, he was still at home, the father would say, you've got to get out. You've got to leave. You've got to get your own job, get your own apartment, make your own way. Now, they don't do that anymore. I want to talk a little bit about my life and my father. And when I turned 16, I thought that's really great because I can drive. And my dad would be mighty happy to let me drive the family car. Well, I was mistaken. Now, when I turned 16 back then, they still abided by males turning 16 means auto insurance will triple or quadruple for a family policy if you take on a 16-year-old boy. So my father said, yeah, you can drive the car, but you're going to pay the additional insurance. And I said, oh, it can't be that much. And he tried to explain to me how much it would be. And over again I fought with him till finally he gave me the phone number for the auto insurance agent. He said, call him and talk to him. And I called the agent, and the agent told me what would happen to the policy if I was added. Of course, I was flabbergasted. I didn't take the word of my father. But the insurance agent straightened me out. And when I saw what it would cost me, it would take every single penny and then some of any of my earnings for me to be placed on the insurance policy to drive the car. What is the end result? I didn't drive. Now, I had a license, but I didn't drive anything. From ages 16 to 21, I did not drive a car, even though I had a license. I did not drive a car until after the age of 21, when I got my own car and my own auto insurance and had my own job. Now, is there tough love like that today? No, I don't see it. Do you see it? By the way, please respond to some of my questions. I would appreciate it if you're engaging in some of these videos that I make and you have an interest. By the way, my videos are not well publicized. They don't have a lot of likes. They don't have a lot of comments. They don't have a lot of subscribers. And I don't really care. But if you're following me and you're interested in this, just leave me a comment here and there. So schools and educational system are responsible too. What do you mean? Well, the schools have dumbed everything down. They don't want to offend anybody, so everything has gotten dumbed down. Now, I taught for 5 years, and some of it I taught in secondary education. And I saw it firsthand, that you don't want everybody to feel badly because there's only 3 A's given in the class. So now, rather than 3 A's given in the class, there's 20 A's given in the class to make everybody feel good, because they dumbed everything down. Socialism is part of the educational system. Now, Dewey was a socialist, and a lot of the educational system is based on Dewey. And so you have built right into the system socialism, which is basically saying that the state can and will take care of you. Incidentally, that's, as one individual, as a scholar, Bible scholar, told me, that's a surrogate God. In other words, you don't need to do anything, just let the state be your God, and God will provide, or the state will provide. So many of these youth today are very aware that all they have to do is sign up for something. They don't have to work with their hands. You can see I get pretty passionate about what I'm talking about. Now, there's also the disappearance of discipline. And in fact, I have quite a few videos on my channel about discipline. Whatever became of discipline. You can type that into the search box or go to the playlist and type in the word discipline, and you'll see I did about 5 videos on discipline. The child is in charge and rules, and not the parents. Now, parents will deny this, parents will fight you, and parents will say that's not true. But if you enter into their home, you will find out that, ultimately speaking, the child rules. In other words, They give in all the time. And they don't say no, and they don't punish. Oh, I know, they give them a timeout, timeout. Big deal. Take away a toy. Well, that's big deal too. One toy and there's like 5,321 other toys in the house. Now, gaming is popular. I never heard this word when I was growing up. We played baseball. We didn't call it gaming. Now, the electronic games came into existence pretty much in the early 80s and then got into the homes and then became an obsession with the youth. Now, I know nothing of this. I know about getting a baseball glove and going down to the ball field. But I know nothing of staying at home with electronic devices, seated on your couch for hours and hours and hours, watching little blips on a screen. Now, it's become almost a #1 priority in youth, and take gaming and take eating potato chips and drinking pop and candy bars and put the two of them together and you've got obesity in youth. And it's a serious problem now. Youth becoming obese and also in quite serious physical health danger with diabetes in youth. Now, when I was growing up, I remember in my grade school class, there was only one child that was obese. One out of maybe 400. All right. So we're going to try to put the blame on different places, but don't worry, we're not going to ignore the child himself or herself. We'll get to that here towards the end of the video. All right, so churches have a fault too because they don't hold the youth accountable. Now, I've dealt with youth that want to join the church. They join the church and then they leave. And the discussion, I could talk about that for 20 minutes. Now, the youth that's himself or herself lacks a work ethic. They feel they're entitled to be given stuff by the state or by their parents or by their grandparents. And they're not taught that they're a sinner. This is one of the big things. They're not taught that they're a sinner. They see themselves only as good, and anything they say or do is good. So what really happens is this. The child or youth will take the path of the easy way. Stay at home, let the parents do it all, and there are no consequences to failure to launch. Now, in olden days, a father would take charge and say, you must exit the house and get your own work. Parents won't do that today. So now you have, as a consequence, youth in their 20s through 30s, and I'm going to even take right now up to about age 40, because I know of an actual situation in my own family of a child who's aged 39 and still lives at home and does not work, does not hold a responsible position of employment, thus to get their own place, thus to get their own food, thus to get their own auto insurance, etc. It's all done for them by the parents. So these failure to launch children who are called adult children, adults who are really just children, may remain in this condition for many, many years to come. Now, by no means in this video am I trying to say that love should not be present, but if I go back to the original scripture, if you bring up the child in the way he should go, he or she is not going to depart from it. So by giving them an easy life and by providing everything for them and not asking anything of them, they fail to launch on the launch pad. Thank you for watching this. This concludes the video. Thank you.